Now, is it absurd to think that Cartoon Network is airing Teen Titans as a way to get people talking about the franchise around the same time that they announced that they're working on a Teen Titans Go movie? Well, they started airing reruns around August 7th of 2017 and announced the movie around September 25th of 2017, a little under 2 months. Maybe I'm drawing connections that shouldn't be drawn, but either I'm a marketing genius because I found the correlation of airing more versions of Teen Titans, which would get more people to know about the movie, or Cartoon Network just decided to air Teen Titans and only Teen Titans from what it looks like, and it has no correlation whatsoever.
Oh look, they stopped airing Teen Titans right when the movie was out. Who could have guessed that other than Alpha Damas over here? I'm also selling tomorrow's lotto numbers for you clicking that bell notification. So Cartoon Network in 2018 has been quite interesting. Before I begin, I want to thank CN Schedule Archives and Nick and Moore for having up-to-date information about Cartoon Network. Those are two big sources that I use among others to make these types of videos. Cartoon Network, unlike Nickelodeon, seems to be doing not so hot in the area. It dropped 36% in TV viewership, the most out of XD, Nickelodeon, Adult Swim, and the respective Nick and Disney Junior channels. Now, other networks have dropped more, like Discovery Family and Universal Kids, but they weren't exactly on a decade-plus streak of being one of the top 3-ish children entertainment networks. On the bright side, unlike Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network has had a ton of animated shows that it aired and reran this year, including shows like Regular Show, Bunnicula, Total Drama Island, and even some more. But let's get right into the show because there's a lot. So let's talk about the ones that aren't going to be airing the episodes in 2019. And there's one series that everyone has heard when it ended, and that's Adventure Time. It aired 5 episodes, technically 8, but it was 4 episodes in a 4-part special, and I'm gonna count it as 5. Unlike Regular Show, they didn't shelve it between Shrek and Teen Titans Go, and they actually opted to advertise its last episode, which took it from getting a potential 0.5-ish rating to a 0.9. An extra 400,000 people showed up. But isn't it sad that one of the most influential cartoons in this post-CN Real modern CN era couldn't even crack 1 million people watching? Now, does this mean Adventure Time is over? Well, there's many shows that carry the values, art style, atmosphere, and creativity that Adventure Time paved the way for. Whether it's Bravest Warriors, Steven Universe, or OKKO. You just have to give these shows a shot. Adventure Time ended on September 3rd, 2018. Now, Regular Show didn't end this year, it ended last year, which I heavily criticized Cartoon Network's handling of, but it did rerun this year around Halloween. I do want to get around to the Terror Tales of the Park series. You also have Clarence, a show that people probably thought ended earlier, or is still going on, but it ended this year. It is a fantastic show that got so much better after the 2nd season. However, after the Thanksgiving episode on the 10th of November 2017, they went on a hiatus until June 2018, and their ratings never recovered, thus receiving the Adventure Time / Regular Show treatment sadly. It's even sadder because, like Welcome to the Wane, albeit not as severe, it's the shows that have a quieter fall that make me more sympathetic. Clarence unfortunately came to an end June 24th, 2018. There was also the weirdly aired Summer Camp Island, which was more compressed than your average Is It Free or Is It Not WinRAR zip file. All 20 episodes aired July 7th, 2018, with 20 more episodes coming out very delayed. I remember this show airing ad nauseum in July, which annoyed me to the point of not wanting to watch it because of its abundance. And clearly many share the same sentiment, considering the 0.5 or 0.4 ratings that every episode got. I found the show to be just okay, with a heavy to take in art style, which to some may be confusing considering how I planned. It is a truly subjective argument at the end of the day, so let me not unwrap it. The show also aired on Boomerang and Tony Toon around the same time, which if they stretched it out into an easier to watch pattern, maybe I'd warm up to the idea of watching, knowing it would be around for a long time. Also, I went into the whole, quote, many shows coming into their element in later seasons argument last video, and it still applies here. Now, considering it delayed 20 episodes, that means it has not ended as far as I know. There is also the animated show Bunnicula that is pretty tough to find ratings for. It did pretty okay when it aired on Cartoon Network back in 2016, but I'd imagine the numbers are pretty crappy now. I reviewed the show a while back and I enjoyed it for what it was. It seems to have a lot of episodes out for a show that airs on Boomerang, and if you were to ask me what is the top original show that airs on Boomerang exclusively, it would be this show. It's going to have another season 2019. Speaking of cute but deadly main character shows, Unikitty. It started off pretty interesting technically in 2017, but officially in 2018. I talked about it in my first Kahoot when it appeared in the upcoming for Cartoon Network 2018 video. It's weird to think about now, but at the time I didn't expect much from it, but I was willing to give it a try, considering that Lego has had pretty neat shows before. The issue I had, however, was the Mighty Matters effect. Like earlier, they made a big deal about the show in December to air non-stop in January and then slowly phase it out throughout the year in terms of relevance on the network. And I was correct in that prediction. Barely a blip when it comes to Unikitty being treated as a big show the way that Teen Titans Go or Adventure Time or Steven Universe is. I do want to give credit that the show had a really consistent schedule as far as airing episodes, and I was definitely enjoyed with the episodes I saw. Now, considering Unikitty is under Lego, I wouldn't be surprised if we got another season, but this one may be on Boomerang. Either way, the show was great and I consider it underrated. Speaking of Lego, as of September 3rd of this year, Ninjago Masters of Spinjitzu replaced Adventure Time as the longest running show on Cartoon Network. I covered this show as well a while back. It premiered on the network in 2011 and plans to go into its 10th season early 2019, and I should really pick the show back up. It is a toy-based series like Rise of the TMNT, so a lot of the success of the show comes from merchandise, which on its own isn't the worst thing in the world. The episode quality surely does make it seem like they want a great story-heavy show, but also a great toy line to supplement it. It revolves around the bigger franchise, which has tons of toys, movies, and games, and other adaptations. Obviously, it will be continuing for a long time, or at least until the end of this year. There's also Apple and Onion, which originally was a mini-series, and I planned to review the first episode a while ago, but that was replaced with my second Looney Tunes show review. The show seems to have that dry humor that is seen in a lot of shows overseas. America isn't the biggest supplier of dry humor when it comes to animation. It's a very musical show, and the characters play the whole childlike in a big world sort of development, which worked out surprisingly well. It didn't seem odd, but there was only a few episodes, and it's going to be a challenge to make every song in every episode catchy, considering that there's a song in every episode. And I can count all of the highly musical shows that I like on one hand, with Phineas and Ferb being at least top 3. Wacky Races is
words fall out of my mouth, they drift to the ground and they don't make a sound.
a 2017 reboot of the 1968 show. I haven't heard of it until I saw it tagged on one of CN Schedule's tweets, and it has come to my attention that this show appears on the Boomerang app. Now, I don't know much about this show and I'd be open to covering it, but from what I researched, it's possible it'll have a 3rd season, but I'm guessing it'll also be on the Boomerang app and channel. The show premiered August 14th, 2017, if you're wondering, and it was intended to premiere alongside the other show that's popular on Boomerang and presumably on the app, Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. Like Wacky Races, this is a show based on previous material, and honestly, would stick out like a sore thumb if it was on the main network. It's also not super interesting, but I want to watch more episodes before I stick to that impression. Speaking of reboots, you also have the Powerpuff Girls, which had its latest reboot criticized to wherever him lives and back, for many reasons that we don't need to get into here. It started off on a network for a long time, before switching to Boomerang, where it yo-yos back between channels. The show, however, in 2018 is an interesting case. Coming up on its 3rd year later on, it appears that Cartoon Network uses the term the Powerpuff Girls interchangeably with its original series, unlike Teen Titans or Ben 10. During the 20th anniversary last year, Cartoon Network aired the original episodes alongside the reboot, which is a bittersweet thing to do. On one hand, it establishes uniformity that Cartoon Network sees the entire vision of the franchise, but on the other hand, it covers its black and white butt from not realizing that the original far outweighs the reboot. For example, in Crossover Nexus, is that the Powerpuff Girls' original design, or is that just the art style? And why would they use the original if the reboot is still airing and they don't push it besides the 20th anniversary? Are they getting another season? Most likely not. But if they do, you'll be happy to know that I have a low chance of covering it. Since we already brought it up, Ben 10. This would be the latest reboot of a very successful franchise, which was also caught under fire, just not as much as the Powerpuff Girls or Teen Titans. Like the two 2, however, the show leaned towards a heavily comedic take, rather than a serious story-based pursuit. But unlike Rise of the TMNT, which also did that, all 3 of these CN reboots were criticized for a lack of a, quote, stylized animation, which may have made up for the departure from the source material. In layman's terms, a lot of people think it's a cheap cash grab at the name value. Ben 10 also has tons of merchandise for the reboot alone, but let's move back into schedule-wise. The show airs in different countries at wildly different times, which I never understand until I'm there myself, but it airs consistently, despite dipping harshly from the first episode to the last. Ratings wise. Who knows? Maybe this is the last season, but who are we kidding here? It may go on forever, just like Scooby-Doo. We also had Justice League Action, which I haven't seen before. It's had its entire first season between 2016 and 2018, which you'd think, Jay, does this mean that there was also a huge hiatus here, like with many other shows? Not quite. You see, there were 52 episodes in this season, and the season started December of 2016. Now, there are gaps, and like Ben 10, the ratings dipped harshly from episode 1, but I'm interested in checking out the show. I don't remember much marketing for it, but then again, it's an action show and Cartoon Network seems to distance itself from those. Will it get another season? I have zero idea. There's also Mega Man Fully Charged, a new show that I did see and I did talk about in my What Am I Watching video here. But to sum up, I like the show and I think it's fine. Bear in mind, I don't have a big connection with Mega Man before that, but I found the art style to be nice and the show not to be much of a bore. It was fun and personally I can't wait to cover it if I have the opportunity. The show premiered August 5th, 2018 and has 20 episodes, currently 28 confirmed. The show premiered August 5th of 2018 and it has 20 episodes out, with 8 more episodes to go, totaling 28 confirmed. I saw this show on Boomerang and it does air on Cartoon Network as well, just at 6:30, which shows you just how much Cartoon Network feels about the show. I don't know if it's going to get another season, but I'd like to imagine Cartoon Network doesn't give up on the show within 6 months. But then again, look at Apple and Onion and Summer Camp Island for shows treated so well. Speaking of treating a show, and again, look at Apple and Onion and Summer Camp Island for shows treated so well. Speaking of treating a show so well, Transformers Cyberverse. A show so well covered that this was a sentence on Wikipedia as I did my initial research. The show airs very early on, like Mega Man, so you would probably see why reading out the ratings for this show would be useless. It also premiered August of 2018, and just like Lego Ninjago, it's connected to a bigger brand, so if it fails, I'd like to think it isn't the end of the world for the franchise. You also have Bakugan Battle Brawlers, which is an anime. Cartoon Network apparently started airing this late December of 2018. It appears to be a part of a bigger series or retooling an already made series. Either way, I don't imagine it doing too well. But for anyone wanting me to cover anime, shows like this are the closest you'd get for now, or maybe like Pokemon or something. You also have Mighty Magiswords, which has a ton of shorts and a ton of passionate animators working on it, and I think it had a great start, being pushed heavily, like I said before, with its own app back in late 2016, but it slowly faded out to a point where it's largely forgotten, and the only thing I'm honestly looking forward to is the last episode. No, not for the show to end, but it is confirmed that Rad from OKKO will be there, and honestly, I thought with the different Magiswords, the show could have been big in the trading card world or like with merchandise, but it never got off the ground like it could have. Whew. So, now that we got those shows out of the way, let's talk about the big Cartoon Network shows one by one. You have Craig of the Creek, which I've been open about my non-interest in covering anytime soon. Has been renewed for the show in 2019, and I do plan to watch it regardless, to see if it gets better out of it. It has been somewhat consistent in terms of ratings and keeping viewers interested, with the natural slump that you would get on a network that airs Dramarama, Gumball, and Teen Titans Go a lot. It also has a large story behind it, so the more seasons go on, the less people who will keep grasp to the show. I also want to praise Cartoon Network for keeping a consistent schedule and not airing every Craig of the Creek episode on the same day. We Bare Bears is a show that I'm highly surprised went on for as long as it did. I was a huge fan even back in the day, and I try to keep up with the show because of its stellar first season. The show did plateau, however, but as far as great episodes go, I can't recommend this show enough. Like seriously, I recommend this show all the way to the people in the back. It's a great show, and I hope to get around to it more. Note, Cartoon Network also airs the show consistently and frequently and sits in the schedule at a good amount. You have the Dark Horse Total Dramarama, which apparently does really well against the you-know-who giant that we will talk about later on, with a solid 0.7 rating that airs pretty consistently. This latter half of 2018 has been dedicated to Dramarama, with many people, including myself, being very skeptical of what the show would have came to be. It should have been obvious before, but now it's pretty much like the other reboots. It's a comedic take on a continuity-heavy show, like Ben 10, like Teen Titans. It's not done with its first season yet in the US, but it has been confirmed to have a second season. You also have OKKO, Let's Be Heroes, which aired a great amount of episodes in 2018, coming up on its 6th year of being an official show concept, with its pilot coming out in 2013. The show dived into deeper territory this season, with different arcs and character development, but most notably the crossover Nexus, which is the highest rated episode, but not by much. Episodes of Dramarama did just as well, and when you realize that crossover Nexus was supposed to be a celebration crossover involving Cartoon Network, another season, but support the show regardless, because it may not be confirmed yet, but that doesn't mean that Cartoon Network isn't listening and watching. There's also the amazing World of Gumball, which appears to be on this last season, and is finishing off relatively strong for a show that has gone as well as it has. Out of every show I talked about in this video, I tend to cover the show a lot, and that is because I follow it the most. It would be a shame if it ended, but I respect the decision. On many weeks, it airs most on the network, unlike the other show that we'll get to in a bit, but it's honestly one of my favorite shows of all time, and I'm going to cover the finale, ASAP. Oh, Steven Universe, a heavily talked about show that I don't cover all that much, but it has a very interesting history when it comes to scheduling. So in its most recent season, it went from 4 episodes in May to 6 episodes in December of 2017, and then 2 episodes in January of 2018, to
4 episodes in April to then 7 episodes in the 2 months after, and then a giant hiatus until December of 2018, all in one season. These shows air very packed together, packaged as a Steven bomb, and to many fans you don't get that same type of immersion you'd get from slowly and smoothly releasing these episodes on a less erratic pattern. I don't know what goes on behind CN Studios, but with this show, along with Welcome to the Wayne, it has a pretty terrible airing schedule, airing like 1 episode a week or so. Unlike Welcome to the Wayne, the show has a big enough audience to keep it relevant, and it keeps up a high enough demand that Cartoon Network doesn't forget it. But essentially for a story-heavy show, doing something like splitting a season up within months appears to work against the best interest of the show. As far as the show having another season, I'm leaning towards yes. Now for the last but not the least, figurehead show Teen Titans Go. Having been out since 2013, the show has been highly polarizing, with many people having a strong opinion on it either way. The show has had a movie come out this year that I enjoy a lot. I hope to have the same feelings with the Steven Universe movie. The show spans 2 seasons in 2018, the tail end of season 4 and now season 5, even having a few episodes presented around the events of the movie having continuity. It also had this clip show special where it took old clips and put them in top 10 form. I don't know why they do this, but I guess I don't know why they would do TV Night or the Bottle episode either. Both shows which I've heavily ripped apart in my phone. It took old clips and put them in top 10 form. I don't know why they do this, but I guess I don't know why they would do TV. I have no future Teen Titans Go. The last thing of note is that there will be a Teen Titans vs Teen Titans Go special, which I plan to cover extensively. It may be on its last season, but considering where Teen Titans ended as far as seasons go, more or less, it's going to be interesting if they do or not. So as far as Cartoon Network goes, it's been super busy with many shows, and I hope to cover them all. I think this year was a massive improvement, but it has some ways to go. The schedule wasn't bad, there was a sense of community, and Teen Titans Go seems to be losing some power. However, you still have these drastic schedules for certain shows, and it appears to take a lot of previous franchises and try to make some easy cash on it without finding its true potential. And a lot of these shows I just don't seem that interested in watching. But I would like to know, what do you think of Cartoon Network in 2018? Let me know in the comments down below, and special thanks to the patrons of January. And until next time, take care. Alpha out.
dem Feind gelungen, die Front in breiter Formation zu durchbrechen. Im Süden hat der Gegner Zossen genommen und stößt auf Stahnsdorf vor. Der Feind operiert jetzt am nördlichen Stadtrand zwischen Frohnau und Pankow und im Osten ist der Feind bis zur Linie Lichtenberg-Marsdorf-Karlshorst gelangt.
Mit dem Angriff Steiners wird das alles in Ordnung kommen.
Mein Führer, Steiner
konnte nicht genügend Kräfte für einen Angriff massieren. Der Angriff Steiner ist nicht erfolgt.
Circling around the kitchen, why is nothing changed? Feed cucumber sandwich to a pigeon, chip and nail varnish on guitar strings. Got a pillowcase made out of money, feeling pretty fake when I wake up. Tissue. Fuzzy feeling and I'll miss you. Why cannot be the same? Fucking stupid and I'm gonna kill you. Melt all your art and drink the pain. I am not a beast, I'm not a monster. I don't care what you say. You can't have the bad guys without a hero. And I'm the only one who's got a cake. Didn't give me time to say goodbye in the way that I wanted to. Like you're so honey, close your eyes and stay like you're supposed to do. Don't know how I'm gonna live without, but I'll stay strong for you.
Es bleiben im Raum Keitel, Jodl, Krebs und Burgdorf.
Das war ein Befehl! Der Angriff Steiners war ein Befehl! Wer schickt sie? Der Angriff Steiners war ein Befehl! Wer schickt sie? Dass sie es wagen, sich meinen Befehl zu widersetzen! So weit ist es also gekommen. Das Militär hat mich belogen! Jeder hat mich belogen, sogar die SS! Das Militär hat mich belogen! Jeder hat mich belogen, sogar die SS! Die gesamte Generalität ist nichts weiter als ein Haufen niederträchtiger, treuloser Feiglinge!
Mein Führer, ich kann nicht zulassen, dass die Soldaten, die für Sie verbringen...
Nicht als Feiglinge! Verreiter, Versager!
Mein Führer, was Sie da sagen, ist ungeheuerlich.
Die Generalität ist das Geschmeiß des deutschen Volkes! Sie ist ohne Ehre! Sie nennen sich Generale, weil Sie Jahre auf Militärakademien zugebracht haben, nur um zu lernen, wie man Messer und Gabel hält! Jahrelang hat das Militär meine Aktionen nur behindert. Es hat mir jeden nur ersichtlichen Widerstand in den Weg gelegt. Ich hätte gut daran getan, von Jahren alle höheren Offiziere liquidieren zu lassen, wie Stalin. An der Akademie. Und doch habe ich allein auf mich gestellt, ganz Europa erobert. Anfang an. Sie wird das Rat geübter deutsche Idiot. Gewaltig.
Tun Sie, was Sie wollen.
Congratulations what you did. Congratulations, Fairy Odd Parents. I honestly didn't even think a modern cartoon episode can top what you did. I don't even know anymore. I really want to start the review just to get it over with, but then I don't even want to touch this. It's trash. It's animated trash. Guess how many writers they needed to write this trash? 4. 4 people went to college and paid tuition just to write this. Go ahead and hate Breadwinners, Teen Titans Go, or Pickle and Peanut. Go ahead and hate them with all your might. At least they have a purpose and execute it. Breadwinners wanted to capitalize on video game references and cheap flash animation. Pickle and Peanut wanted to be ironically uncool, being a poor man's regular show. Teen Titans Go wanted to be a cheap comedy out of a well-respected franchise. What does Fairy Odd Parents and its 10th season want to say? What plots does it have that needed to be done? Why does this show need to air? I legit don't know, except for milking the franchise and ad revenue. Nickelodeon, you once had Fairy Odd Parents be that cartoon. It surpassed SpongeBob, and it continued knocking each episode out of the park. Even with Tough Puppy, you have Sanjay and Craig and Rocket Monkeys that makes a mockery out of professional animation. I understand where Loud House, Harvey Beaks, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles can shine, but none of it matters if Nickelodeon doesn't support it and future cartoons like it. They bump everything not SpongeBob and Fairy Odd Parents down to Nicktoons, something that not every person who has Nickelodeon has. I said before that the quality of some shows that get demoted, because I'm calling it how it is, increase not having to deal with the crap quota of Nick. Not even sure if I'm being literal or not. You know what really gets me though? I only watched 2 episodes of this crappy season. 2 episodes. This season is 2 for 2 for the worst cartoon episodes to be ever aired. The excuse that they're trying to get off Nickelodeon doesn't even fly with me anymore. This is not effort. This is a 12-minute long try not to rage episode. I watched this episode when it aired months ago. I even talked about it on one of the live streams I did. I watched it again months later and I'm still fuming. And when I talk about bad episodes like The Fourth Wall or Greg, they're bad, but I don't want to do a 35-minute video on that specific episode. To everyone viewing this video, you don't only need to know that this failed, but you need to know in every single way exactly how it failed. And I will not hesitate to show them exactly how and why. So without further ado, let's bring in Girly Squirrely. The show starts off in the forest with Timmy's dad as the scout. He claims to have s'mores and a roaring fire. Obviously the opposite happens because the show cannot subvert the expectations anymore.
Dad, you're on fire!
I am on kind of a roll lately.
You get it? It's every single joke about that ever. I also like how the fire is behind the lair. You made no effort to make it appear like the that ever
Lately.
anymore.
Dad, you're on fire!
I am on kind of a roll lately.
You get it? It's every single joke about that ever. I also like how the fire is behind the lair. You made no effort to make it appear like the shoe is on fire. From my perspective, the fire is on shoe. So the bus blows up and it blows up everyone. No, but I wish. I mean, I really.
Full Sail University's art and design programs embrace design practices built around emerging technologies.
Really wish.
Look for the hot curdling scream, Timmy!
Or you can revisit your little furry friends.
Did Tara forget that she's voicing a preteen male? Actually, this was intentional, which makes even less sense. The show has been able to create girlish screams from a guy before. Take Francis, for example. Sometimes his screams get so high in pitch, it comes across as girly, but the cadence is still there, so you can still tell it's him. This is just Tara Strong, or God forbid, a royalty-free stock scream. Either that, or Timmy woke up to a nightmare of Nickelodeon bringing in another character for the next season. Seriously, if another episode is confirmed and another character debuts, Fairy Odd Parents season 10 or 11 has no right to call itself an original series or continuation. It is a spin-off, and it's the worst one in this decade. So his, not Chloe's fairies, come to his aid, and Cosmo makes a joke about Timmy receiving low grades because Cosmo never did that on an episode revolving 3D. At least if you're gonna do something again, put a spin on it, or else you look like you're not only lazy, but cheap. We get it, okay? You really want Fairy Odd Parents to continue.
But that could never happen, because our lame-o troupe was banned by the Squirrely Scout Council!
And then the opposite happens. Take a shot every time I say and the opposite happens. I would say just down your whole drink, but I actually care for you guys and I don't want your livers to be as destroyed as this series. Hey, music directing in the Nickelodeon cartoon isn't hard at all. Just put every single song on shuffle and pray for the best. Trust me, it really works. So Timmy's dad says that he is going to get the Squirrel Scouts back together. Oh, does that mean we'll see AJ and Chester and Sanjay and Elmer? No? That's right, guys. I can confirm. Sparky, Foop, Poof, AJ, Chester, Sanjay, Elmer, Tootie, Vicky, Francis, Principal Waxaplex, Wandissimo, Cupid, Doug Dimmadale, Remy Bucksaplenty, the Pixies, and most importantly, Miss Perfect Little Girl's parents are nowhere to be seen in this episode. That is 2 episodes in a row, sans Foop, where a majority of the people you thought were actual characters of the show are thrown to the side for bland character A and side child character B. But you know who makes her second run around? The walking Mary Sue herself, Chloe. I apologize on behalf of anyone in this universe or any other multiple universe dimensions for having their name associated with this excuse for a compelling character. There is making a character to be liked and making a character that the writers want you to have no choice in liking. Yes, he's the same perfect but actually pretty darn close to perfect character in their last run on my channel. The only difference is that here, the show made a blatant, insulting, fatal flaw. They made Chloe, the girl that many people still haven't grown to, the focus of the show. Yes, my friends, she does more for the plot than Timmy Turner. Timmy freaking Turner. You know, the guy who originally had fairy godparents because his parents were not the best and Vicky didn't make it any better. What kind of drugs do you need to be on to make the Mary Sue the main protagonist in a professionally made for TV cartoon?
Anywho, all we have to do is earn a single merit badge, and Squirrely Scout Troop Lucky 13 is back in business.
Why is Timmy so small next to his dad? In fact, why is Timmy this small in general? Does anyone feel like they're subliminally trying to make a change in Timmy's height? So Timmy's dad, does anyone feel like they're subliminally small next to his dad? In fact, why is Timmy this small in general? Does anyone feel like they're subliminally trying to make a change in Timmy's height? So Timmy's dad introduces them to the camp supervisor, who just so happens to be a bear. So this bear doesn't speak English, mind you, and is the supposed authority. They get their humor from Tough Puppy, which honestly created a downfall for Butch Hartman's cartoons. Random and zany is one thing, but when things happen because you need logic and sense, that is a good episode.
Dad, only a total nutjob would want to go on another Squirrely Scout camping trip.
And then the episode tries to reverse your expectations. Let me explain a bit about explanations. People can only be surprised at something you say if you never say it. Right, Waffles? Not only is Chloe super smart and super strong, she's also going to be the ringleader.
Girls aren't allowed to be Squirrely Scouts.
Yes, because they really want to lay it home that the fairy odd parents are trying to make Timmy's dad look foolish and stupid. Also, Chloe is going through adversity. Guess how she deals with this injustice? By wishing it gone. Yes, riveting storytelling. We sure have come far from photos etched on the walls of ancient caves. Also, animation error. We're not even 5 minutes in and I'm just getting started. There's nothing funny within the first 3 minutes. Use the "it's just for kids" argument, cause I really can get on that logic. Unless you're into that whole sit down and shut up mentality that should have died off as soon as it started, what part of this is funny? Sure, it isn't discrimination, but it is the world's smallest barrier for this plot to happen. When the show started, even I had the idea in my head that since you have fairies, many plots can be hand-waved with just a wish or two. First of all, they hand-wave it here just insults me on a personal level. Trust me, I don't want to spoil it. And number 2, I wouldn't mind so much if they already didn't do an episode where Timmy's mom was shown to be just as, if not already a way better substitute for their particular scouts. Not only that, but how did Chloe already have the uniform? Even the title isn't original.
Oh, I love the unforgiving wilderness. I love it so much!
Shut up. Like, really, shut up. So Timmy decides to wish himself away from everyone, but the place he wishes himself to just so happens to be the next place they need to go. What is it with this season and having Timmy wish himself away and just so happens to be the next place where the plot needs him to be? They have this pathetic, just thin piece of string called a plot that they really want to follow.
I wish I was lost with Biscuit. Just my luck. Biscuit was lost in the Squirrely Scout bus.
Is it really? Is it really? Let's skip the song they sing because it involves shaking their butts. And you know what? If you guys are sick of it, then you obviously don't know top-notch humor. I mean, Chloe says that she's ready for duty. You know, which every idiot dad makes the obvious joke, right? Again, it's very jarring how much they're trying to avoid Chester and AJ. I didn't like the real-life adaptation, but as of now, the real-life movies are much better. At least they decided to at least try and follow the cartoon. How in any way does this feel like the original show? And I know, things change. I mean, I'm probably the only reviewer on YouTube defending Pickle and Peanut, defending Fanboy and Chum Chum, and Clarence, because they're comedy shows and they serve a particular crowd. But this is 2016 and this is inexcusable.
Chloe! That's a girl's name because she's a girl!
A girl? I hear if you touch
Sorry, you were in an attack helicopter? No, the writers feel they need to stuff every cliche in this show. I wouldn't be surprised if they brought in feces jokes.
Okay, who needs to change their pants? Just me?
Terrific. The clouds that shouldn't be there give the campers the reactions they never should really have. The forest that the Squirrely Scouts stay at is called Stinkfoot's National Forest. So you know there's gonna be a mythical beast called Stinkfoot. But don't worry, we have Chloe. I think she's rescued a monster before. How about now? Oh yeah, that's right. She destroyed an entire town.
Sweet, dim Ricky. There is no Stinkfoot.
And then the opposite happens. Not even halfway through and I'm still disappointed. Now we get the worst scene in this episode. You know what? Screw Viacom with playing the entire thing. I'm literally gonna grab you by the back of your neck and show you the feces that you've made on this franchise.
I love spending time with Chloe and Timmy, but this place stinks. Don't worry, Davey. I've got an idea. Oh, look! A bubbling brook! Let's see how deep it is. Ah, what do you know? It's highly corrosive stomach acid.
Where do I begin? First of all, cans. Second of all, exactly why did they stick their wands in acid? You know, other than the next reason that Timmy and Chloe to wish themselves out of this situation. Third, according to your logic, when you wished the house was back above ground in the episode involving Sparky for the first time, you had backup wands. So I will never let you forget that. With 4 writers, the best that they can come up with is that Cosmo, and more disappointingly Wanda, willingly melt their wands out of curiosity. Usually Cosmo gets in trouble and Wanda pays for it in creative ways. Now it seems like no one even cares. This entire episode, it just has this blatant emptiness. No plot, little relatable characters, and now the fairies are kicked to the curb. No, really, they really don't come back for a majority of this episode. I don't understand why they turned into cans just to get swallowed by a bear. You'd think if Wanda really wanted the forest to stop smelling, she'd do, oh, I don't know, wish it away? It's not like Chloe didn't just wish for the female gender, and yes, I'm getting it right, the female gender to be included in the scouts. They give the bear indigestion, which makes me wonder why that would lead to more acid. The writers never explain. They just put the characters in this situation because situation. An infant wouldn't even be interested in the colors being shown on the screen. But what frustrates me the most is that Wanda did this. Yes, the smart one, or at least, not counting Chloe, the smartest one. She's the one who points out the babbling brook, even though she knew she was inside a bear. She is the one who wants to know how deep this brook is. And she is the one who initiates the wands being burnt. And let's look at it from her logic. Even if this wasn't stomach acid, what else is in your body? Blood or saliva? So either this got really messed up or really gross. Both of which are staples in Nickelodeon humor. Either way you slice it, this is the most pathetic way to make a story. This is just excuses and contrived plots.
Okay, fellow Squirrely Scouts, gather round. Everyone chill. Time to get that merit badge.
Although Chloe isn't a perfect little angel like in the Big Fairy Share Scare, the fact that her character still has shades of being the most contrived obnoxious child insert Mary Sue character in this modern run of cartoons is on nearly unreachable levels of insult. Of course, the Scouts are incompetent because wimps. They have a weird sound gag which involves one of the children yelling that they're lost. It sounds like the character is far, which he's not, which only brings me out of their immersion. Even the sound designer gave up on this show. This sound
Brewed since 1844. Craft yourself a Pabst.
designer. Sound designer gave up art, which he's not, which only brings me out of their immersion. Even the sound designer gave up on this show. This sound designer.
Focus! If we want the merit badge, we have to climb Mount Stinkfoot.
Let me guess, it looks dangerous, but it's not.
Hey, Timmy, all the troop needed was a little motivation.
And then the opposite happens. Whoa there, let me take your drink from you. You already drinking too much. I can understand why you wouldn't want to put so much work into this terrible execution. So instead of rock climbing, they try for the white water rafting badge. Everyone cries because they're in a Nickelodeon TV show. I also don't understand why Timmy's dad is in the boat by himself. It's not like one of the other children fell into quicksand. Also, anyone for a game of guess the error? But how come the other campers fall out the boat but aren't seen in the bird's eye view shot? Error number 2. No matter how perfect Chloe is, she is not the leader, so she should not be doing this much. Error number 3. How did Timmy and Chloe, the girl who can paddle, fall into the water? Error number 4. Why would you learn paddling in the most dangerous river? And lastly, error number 5. So why did this kid teleport? In fact, what is he doing? Why does he even look like this in the first place? So much about this episode screams end this show. And coming from a person who had literally a grammar error in his first review of this franchise, you're pathetic. Heck, even Timmy doesn't sound like his normal self. You see how Chloe's the example of a great leader? What is her flaws here? She's perfect and she wants you to know. Also, they bring back Cosmo and Wanda. Glad to see one of the pair of main